Hello everyone, my name is Brayden, this is Airless Quill 9, and in today's video, we are going to be talking about the Earth Elemental. And in this video, we have finally reached the E's in the 2024 Monster Manual, so yay! That's a nice milestone since we still have the rest of the alphabet to get through. But yeah, we are currently at the Earth Elemental, so let's go ahead and talk about it real quick. So primal spirits from the elemental plane of Earth merge with rocks and minerals to form Earth Elementals. These beings possess powerful limbs and coarse features, sometimes studded with ore, gems, crystals, colorful striations, or living plants. On the material plane, Earth Elementals often serve those who conjure them, or they appear in regions influenced by their home plane, such as crystalline nodes, energetic fault lines, or veins of magical ore. Earth Elementals effortlessly move through stone and can bring ruin to whole structures with their mighty fists. Earth Elementals are typically made of more than dirt. While an elemental's composition doesn't change its statistics or have a monetary value, it makes each elemental distinct. We have a table that we can roll on called the Earth Elemental Compositions table, and this has 8 options available on it that will help verify or diversify the body features of an Earth Elemental. And these options are colorful mineral formations, cooled magma and melted heaps, grass, moss, or plant roots, heaps of peat or decaying matter, mounds of sand studded with shells, rubble or pieces of a ruined structure, striking striations or bands of color, and veins of iron or other ore. So with all those options, you can see just how varied and different each version of a Earth Elemental can be. I mean, as you can see here, we do have this rocky version of an Earth Elemental, which is pretty much the typical version. But thanks to this table, we do have a bunch of other options. So you could have, for example, like a coastal themed Earth Elemental that has pieces of seashells and maybe coral and stuff wrapped around and inside of its form. So there are tons of possibilities on how to customize an Earth Elemental to look really unique and flavorful for the type of campaign that you're running. With all that being said, though, let's go ahead and take a look at the 2024 Earth Elemental stat block. So the Earth Elemental is a large elemental of neutral alignment. They have an armor class of 17, an initiative of -1, 147 hit points, a speed of 30 feet, and a burrow speed of 30 feet. For their ability scores, they have a strength of 20, a dexterity of 8, a constitution of 20, an intelligence of 5, and a wisdom of 10, and a charisma of 5. They are vulnerable to thunder damage, and they are immune to poison damage, as well as the exhaustion, paralyzed, petrified, poisoned, and unconscious conditions. For their senses, they have dark vision of 60 feet, they have tremor sense of 60 feet, and a passive perception of 10. Languages, they know Primordial, specifically the Terran dialect of Primordial. And the Earth Elemental is a challenge rating of 5 creature, so that means it has 1,800 experience points and a proficiency bonus of +3. For its traits, the Earth Elemental has 2, the first of which is Earth Glide. This allows the Elemental to burrow through non-magical unworked earth and stone, and while doing so, the Elemental doesn't disturb the material it moves through. So when it uses this particular trait, while it may be burrowing through the earth, it is not leaving a tunnel for creatures to follow it through. So this is a pretty useful trait that will allow it to potentially completely move out of the attack range of your players by hiding within the earth itself and then only coming out to beat the crap out of them. The other trait that they have is Siege Monster. This simply allows the elemental to deal double damage to objects and structures, which makes sense since it is pretty much made out of a bunch of dirt and rock and stone. So yeah, that kind of makes quite a bit of sense. And then in the action section, the Earth Elemental has a multi-attack. This allows it to make 2 attacks using Slam or Rock Launch in any combination. Slam is our melee option with a +8 to hit and a reach of 10 feet. On a hit, it deals 2d8 plus 5 bludgeoning damage. And then if the Earth Elemental is at range, it does have a ranged option in Rock Launch. This also has a +8 to hit, has a range of 60 feet, and on a hit, it only deals 1d6 plus 5 bludgeoning damage. However, it does knock a large or smaller creature prone. So that is pretty great there. But with all of that being said, it's really hard to determine what benefits the new Earth Elemental has without taking a look at the changes since the 2014 version. So let's take a look at that now. So as you can see here, there are a number of changes which I have underlined for convenience. The first of these is an increased amount of hit points. In 2014, the Earth Elemental only had 126 hit points. This is because it only had 12 hit dice, but the 2024 version now has 14 hit dice, which has given it a pretty moderate boost to hit points. Now, the Earth Elemental has lost its damage resistances to bludgeoning, piercing, and slashing from non-magical attacks, but that is that's pretty much across the board for the entire 2024 Monster Manual, so that isn't really much to mention. That is half of the reason that they gave the Earth Elemental an increased hit points, was to make up for that, for them losing those resistances. But since those resistances barely came into use anyways, I don't mind that particular change at all. The second change here is in the languages section. They have specified that the language is primordial, and then have added the Terran dialect tag onto it. Beforehand, it just said Terran, but it is important to note that Terran is a primordial dialect, so that is why they have added that into the languages section. So nice that they have just clarified that up for Dungeon Masters. In the action section, we can see that they have made some changes to both multi-attack and a new attack option. The first change here is that beforehand, the multi-attack in 2014 used to only allow the elemental to make 2 slam attacks. Now that we do have a ranged option with the Rock Launch, they have modified the multi-attack to allowing it to make 2 attacks using either slam or Rock Launch in any combination, which is quite nice. The damage for slam is still the same reach and plus to hit, so nothing really interesting there, but Rock Launch is a completely new option. So if your Earth Elemental is not able to get within the range of a creature, you do have that ranged option, and it has a pretty decent range at 60 feet, so quite a nice change there. This is also particularly useful because I can imagine if you want to keep your Earth Elemental out of melee combat, you can have it use its burrow speed with its Earth Glide trait and hide in maybe like up a cliff face, only to pop its upper body out to throw Rock Launch attacks from a pretty defensive position, and then to go back into that rock wall. So you could potentially do something really devastating with the Earth Elemental were you to make a pretty difficult encounter with that particular combination, in my opinion. So there are some really good options here, not just in the melee category, but also with the range category. Albeit the range category is not as powerful as the melee, but I think that is intentional because otherwise you could greatly abuse the Earth Glide trait. But yeah, those are all the changes from 2014, and I think overall the Earth Elemental has seen some pretty decent improvements, especially more hit points is always nice. So happy to see that change. But the additional addition of a ranged option is also very, very welcome. But yeah, that is going to be it for the Earth Elemental. So thank you all for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, please feel free to give the video a like and subscribe if you want to see more content like this. We are going through every creature in the 2024 Monster Manual, so keep an eye out for those videos. Next on our list is going to be the Efreeti, the Genie of Fire, so keep an eye out for that video. Until then, thank you all for watching, and I'll see you all in the next one. Peace.